in Henderson tomorrow, and then it's going to be in the 60s one day next week. So we're on that roller coaster April ride. Jimmy, how are you doing today?
I had allergies last week and I was out a couple of days, but now I'm back to 100%. I didn't work out yet this morning, but tomorrow morning I'll work out.
Yeah, you sound great. Yesterday you still sounded a little stopped up, but today you're back to Jimmy Daig.
I'm back to me. Yep. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. No problem. Okay. Let's see, where did I put the stats? Let's put those up here. I'm going to hide you for a minute and put okie doke. So we've got 23 days of inventory because this month so far, the first 7 days actually, we're selling 105 homes a day. So if we're selling less homes and we have a little bit more inventory, we have more days of inventory. So 23 days of inventory today. That might change by next week. Probably by mid-month we'll get a better read on it. But anyway, 23 is good. And we listed 48 homes, 465,000 and under, which gives us 542 homes in that price range. And that's 27% of the active single family homes. So that's good. That's really good. And you listed 126 homes yesterday. Yay. That is really good. And we have the investors still buying 46 homes a day. And we are surpassing the $1 million daily sales. We were up to 4.6 per day we were 4.58 last year. But I think it's going to get up to 5 this year. So we shall see. And nothing else remarkable about that today. So let's bring Jimmy back. Anything you want to say about the market?
Well, the RJ every Sunday is talking about the $1 million plus market. So it's like a big topic and they're reporting on it every week. And I think I shared with you the last article I saw said 1 out of 6 of the homes on the market is over $1 million. So it's like 16% of our market. It's a pretty big piece.
Yes, yeah. And they don't stay on, normally, I guess in whatever normal is, a couple years ago, they'd stay 90 days. That was, I think, the average days on market for $1 million home. And now it's in the month range. So things have changed.
Yeah.
Things have changed. And I listened to Tom Ferry early this morning, and he was saying that we've never had, and you and I talked about this the other day, we've never had a market like this. We've never had where we have a war going on. We have the interest rates are inching up. There's so much going on in the world. It's changing. He feels that there's a change. And if we're not in the growth mode, we might be left behind. And we have to continue to grow every day and figure out how we can get better. And his whole, he just went on and on and on about that. And I'm just giving you the Ruthie version.
Well, the thing I like about Tom Ferry is he's always listening to other people and finding out what they're thinking and asking good questions and growing himself. He's showing us what we should be doing by doing it himself.
That's exactly right. And especially with his videos, and he gives everybody, so much information to share with people, how to share it and what you should be doing. And then he gets his members that he coaches. He gets his coaches and the people they coach, and he brings them on the show, and people share ideas. And I think that's incredible, because that's what I think the agents want to see is, what are other agents doing and how can I improve what I'm doing? But he says he really believes that we're in for a shift where there's so much going on with real estate that people are getting frustrated. And he sees that there's going to be a lot of people going out of the business. Now, I don't know if I believe that totally myself, especially because we're in Vegas and it's such a different market. I've always said that. But I think he feels, he's got his ear to the ground. So I think he hears the rumblings, from the people that I don't hear or listen to, that things are changing, that people are getting discouraged, the multiple offers and all this market just isn't letting up. And he doesn't see it letting up because of the buyer demand.
Interesting. It's a new thought. I haven't thought of that before.
And he's I think once or twice a week now, he's bringing folks on that talk about how they're getting their offers accepted and what you have to do nowadays. And the biggest thing he says is pick up the phone and call the listing agent. Just pick up the phone and start a relationship. And, maybe it's a new agent. You've never, met them before. And in Vegas, of course, that's going to happen because we have how many joining the LVR every month? A couple hundred?
Close to that, yeah.
So you're going to meet new agents. And if you've been in the business a while, it's a good idea to pick up the phone and say, hey, Jimmy, I haven't, I see you just got do a little research, right? Go to Facebook, go to LinkedIn, see if how long they've been in the business or whatever you can get from their information, and start a relationship with them. That means a lot. And every agent that he interviews, team leaders, luxury agents, agents just doing the meat of the market, they all say that has given them the best success in getting their offers accepted.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you remember me talking about Monroe's motivated sequence? Monroe's motivated sequence. It's a process. It's a 5-step process, and I heard it 10 years ago. I'd already been in real estate 35 years when I heard this, and I went up to the speaker and I said, "How could I be in real estate 35 years and not ever heard about it? It's the most powerful thing I've ever heard in real estate. I love Tom Ferry. I love Brian Buffini. I love their principles, but Monroe's motivated sequence, if you want to communicate at a high level, it's the most powerful process I've seen." And the step number 1 is you start out getting their attention with something shocking or surprising or enlightening or inspiring. You have to get their attention first. And what you just said, if I called the other agent and I said, listen, you know what, I have an offer on your listing, but I just saw on Facebook, you just went to the Grand Canyon. Is that your first trip there? And you move the conversation from professional to personal, and you know something about them. I gave a class about 2 weeks ago. And before I did the class, I found out something about 6 or 7 of the students. And I opened with somebody in here went to the University of Indiana, and I grew up in Indiana, and I didn't know that about them. And then somebody else in here did this, and I shared 5 or 6 facts about the students in the class, and everybody was shocked about the things that they had in common with the other people in the room that they never thought about. And that started if you call the listing agent and say, listen, I do have an offer on your listing, but before we get into that, can I just share with you, I saw on Facebook that you did this or that. Make that connection first before you get into business. Super, super powerful, because no one else does it. That's why it's powerful.
Exactly. Nobody else does it. And that's kind of what these agents are saying too. Be the one that's different, and give the listing agent, a reason to really look at your offer. And if you've got somebody, especially that's getting financing, tell them how they're qualified subject only to appraisal, and they really love the neighborhood. I mean, you're not sending them a love letter, right? Which we can't do.
Right.
But at least you're describing the facts. Like you said, you can tell the facts about a person.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that just is going to go a long way. And every different genre of agents that Tom Ferry interviewed on his show, they all said that. They all said the same thing. And that was, they attributed their offers getting accepted to doing that, and to prepping the buyer so the buyers aren't disappointed. Look, we may have to make offers on 4 or 5 houses, but if we do it this way and we waive these contingencies and what have you, and we do a shorter due diligence. And the other thing is, he said a lot of agents are waiving, not waiving the inspection, but saying that they're going to do the inspection, but they're not going to ask the owner to do any repairs. I don't know. I would probably do that. And then some of them are saying that they're offering the listing agent part of their commission. Wow. Yeah. And they say the agent can give it to the seller, or they can keep it. But that's how much they believe that this deal's going to close. Anyway, a lot of little things people can do. And Erin Pearson Mills, who's in Vegas, she has been on my Saturday show a couple times, and she says that she called up one agent, I think it was a Berkshire Hathaway agent who happened to be in the office, and she took them flowers. She said, I want to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about, my offer, and hopefully you'll better understand why we want this house or whatever, she said,
Yeah, great.
Little
She's
things.
smart agent.
Yeah, little things. Little things mean a lot. So we did the class, Be the CEO of your life. And one of the important parts, Jimmy, that you did was money management. And over 12 million people have watched 12 million people, because I don't think there's all agents, right? There's not 12 million agents.
No, there's not.
But this video has been watched, and it went viral when it first came out. It was Tom Ferry's first video that ever went viral, and up to that point, he had been getting 80 views, 100 views, and then this thing just took off. And then he says that this is the video that started him.
Interesting.
So yeah, so I thought we'd watch it today. It's what did you call today?
Finance Friday.
Yeah, Finance Friday. So we're gonna see how Tom Ferry plays this out. I'm gonna mute you, and I'm gonna mute myself.
So how many of you were raised, perhaps like me, where in your family, maybe there was some split mentalities around money? How many of you know what I'm talking about? You know, like maybe mom had a certain way of thinking and dad had a certain way of thinking. So how many of you guys know who my dad is? My mom and dad got married when they were like 22 years old. My dad flunked out of college, right, as a speech and communication major, which is pretty awesome, considering he's like one of the greatest motivational and real estate training speakers ever, right? And his mindset, because his mentor, this is what his mentor said to him: you want to make a lot of money? Go buy a Rolls Royce, go get a big fancy watch, and go get a really expensive car and a really expensive house, and you will be motivated like crazy, and you will go do whatever it takes to be successful. And guess what my dad did? He went up in a big fancy car, big watch, you know, Rolls Royce, the whole 9 yards, and every day he was like this: holy shit, I gotta make money. My mom, on the other hand, grew up in an environment with a few more kids. My grandfather, my mom's mom, passed away when she was very young, and she immediately had to go to work at like 14 years old. By the time she was 16, she was working at Disneyland as a Mouseketeer, you know, Orange County, California, and she's doing great, but all of her money went back into the family. So she would work only to basically have no, for herself, benefit from it. So in her mind, every cookie in the cookie jar mattered. You should be very mindful with every single dollar. Imagine growing up in that house. This one is like, it's not how much money, you just need to make sure there's at least one cookie in the cookie jar, and we can divide it up 6 ways. And my dad's like, we should start a cookie factory and finance the entire thing. Well, no surprise, that relationship did not last long, right? My dad actually ended up marrying somebody who was ridiculously financially savvy, and I think she's somewhere inside the room. Pua, are you inside the room? My other mom, somewhere inside her, maybe are running around the room. The bottom line was this: I grew up with a completely messed up psychology when it came to money. And it wasn't until in my mid-20s when I met one of my mentors who he showed me something which I'm going to show you. The bottom line is this, guys: money is a tool. Nothing more, nothing less. Say that out loud. Nothing more, nothing less. Listen, if you're a jerk, money makes you more of a jerk. If you are Mother Teresa, money makes you more of Mother Teresa. It is just a tool. But this is what I know. How many of you know someone that doesn't have enough money? I don't know about you guys. I don't want to be that person. And not that I feel bad for them or less for them. All I think to myself is, that person was never taught what I'm about to teach you. They never understood that your money is a tool, and just like an app on a phone, if you don't use it and play the game right and follow the steps, you don't get the results. It's not how much money you earn. It is what you do with the money that matters. You guys with me on this? So I want you to write in your notes the following. There's been a lot of research on this, and you've probably seen something like this before, especially if you've ever met with a financial planner or, you know, you've watched CNN Financial. They all say the same thing. Write down 5, 15, and 80. 5, 15, and 80. 5%, 15%, and 80%. 5%, 15%, and 80%. And as all the studies show, it says 5% of the planet are basically generational wealth. They have created generational wealth. It's not the top 1%, guys. Somebody who is worth $5 million, who has paid off their home, and when they pass on, they transfer all that wealth over. That's generational wealth. You with me on this? Some of them are worth millions, some of them it's 10, some of them are hundreds, some of them are now billions. But that's the 5%. The 15%, write this in your notes, you ready? They are the middle class. They got a house, they got a little savings, they go on a few vacations, and they're comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with that 15%. But where do you think the 80% sits? Darcy, the 80%? 80%. 80%. Look around the room. Potentially 80% of this room, I don't think so, but potentially with the numbers, 80% of this room, when they are older, either A, have to work to make money, or B, are dependent upon the government or their family to subsidize their lifestyle. 80%. 80%. 80%. Some of you are thinking to yourself, my kids better be successful. 5% generational wealth. And it starts at $5 million and above. 15%, comfortable. My in-laws are 93 and 90 years old. They have $1 million net worth. They're in that 15%. Houses paid for that they bought for $11 300 years ago, right? In Anaheim, California on Bruce Street. Paid that sucker off. Every time I talk to my father-in-law, you see my Ford stock? Right? He started buying Ford stock like in 1948. You with me? Like I had $1, then I had 2 shares, and then 3 shares. But over time, guess what? He's in that 15%. How many of you know someone right now, though, that based upon their money behaviors and their money psychology, they're clearly going to end up in the 80%? Don't point at them if they're in this room, and don't make them wrong, but I'd like you to consider maybe they just never heard what I'm about to share with you. So I'm going to show you guys a business strategy for your money. You guys up for that? A business strategy. I'm not going to tell you what to invest in. That's not my role. I'm going to show you ideas of what the very best people do. I'm going to put it up on the big screen, which means the team's going to keep it here the whole time, and you're going to take detailed, copious notes. So here's the first thing I want to show you. This is what 80% of real estate professionals do. 80% of real estate professionals, they get a commission check, and that check goes into their personal account. Their personal account. 80%. They get a check and it goes into their personal account. They go home and maybe they say, here, honey, or here, I'm by myself, and I put it in my account, but this personal account is not an LLC, an S Corp, a limited partnership. It's not a corporation, it's a personal thing. Now, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands if that's you, but I am going to say this to you. I would like to thank you for paying lots in taxes. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you overpaying what you should be paying. Keep up the good work. So what's rule number 1? Should I have a corporation? Yes or yes? Yes or yes? So check this out, guys. If you answered this, don't feel bad. I will teach this stuff at conferences, and I'm blown away by 10 people in the room, 10,000 people in the room, the number of people that go, yeah, I thought about doing that, but I don't know, which one do I pick? I'm no expert. Here's what you do. You call your accountant and say, I think I need to get incorporated. Which do you recommend based upon where I live, what country, what state, etc. But rule number 1 is no one leaves this conference in 30 days if you are not incorporated and you don't own your business, and now your checks come to blankety blank LLC, not you personally, because now you get all the tax advantages. Yes or no, guys? But I got to tell you, this is what the 80% does, and this is clearly bad. Let me show you what the 15% do. I want you to draw this out. I want you to imagine a world where, and by the way, did you guys notice the subtle little difference? This one says check. This one says checks. Because people that get checks understand the following. I get the check, it goes directly into my business account, right? I get it wired in from escrow. I don't get physical checks anymore. The money just gets transferred over. You with me? Oh, my escrow company, my title company, blah, 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 won't do it. Great, get the physical check. But it goes into a business account, which means now, as you can see, I'm going to have 4 different accounts at my bank. 4 different accounts at my bank. I'm going to have my business account. I'm going to have my tax account, 3 accounts. Tax account, business account, and my home account, my personal account. Here's the reality, my friends. If I can encourage and inspire, every single one of you to just do that and then follow the rule. You ready? Write this in your notes. Above the tax account, I want you to write down, let's do an imaginary check, and I want you to show you how much money goes where. So at the top, let's say that's a $10,000 check, just for easy numbers. $10,000 check. So all of a sudden, $10,000 hits my business account, and the first thing that happens is instantaneously 3,300 of the 10,000 goes directly into my tax account. 3,300 automatically into my tax account. Because some of you think when you get a check for 10 grand that you actually have 10 grand. How many of you are in the state of California or New York or in the country of Canada? You get a check for 10 grand and you're lucky if you get 4,500. That's the real deal. Now, you're an entrepreneur, you own your own business, you're gonna start taking better write-offs, you're gonna pay more attention to your accountant, you're probably gonna have your Uncle Larry, who's done your taxes forever, stop and actually hire a CPA who's gonna pay attention, but $3,300 automatically goes there. Then 3,300 or less goes into your business account. And this is where I run my business. A check comes in, I've got marketing. A check comes in, I've got expenses. A check comes in, I've got my MLS dues. Everything that I need to run my business, every check, 3,300, 3,300, and then what goes over here? $3,400 to my home. Now it sounds like you might need a home budget. What do you guys think? Because many times, what do? We get a check, and we just start spending the money. By the way, if you look at this, the very first one, this is the cardinal sin. This is what poor people do. They get a check, and they just start spending. Who knows someone like that? Say aye. Matter of fact, the bigger the check, the more they start spending. And they never think about debt reduction because they'll do that later. Because I've worked so hard and this was such a challenging transaction, and that's why I'm going to overindulge and overspend on myself. And we know the financial roller coaster you're actually putting yourself through. This, my friends, is what the people do that take care of their money. They know Uncle Sam or Revenue Canada or Mexico, they're taking their money no matter what. So when I come in, that check comes in, I don't say to myself, I get it all. It automatically goes there. I leave a piece here, and the balance goes here. Make sense? So tell your buddy, are you going to do this, yes or no? Yes or no? Now, here's what I know. Look up here, guys. The number of clients that have done this, and then I see them a year later, and they go, I have $15,000 in my savings account. I've never had that. But more importantly, I've paid all my taxes. Like, I'm on time, and I have money inside my business account, and it's the end of the year, and my accountant said I need to take a dividend, so I'm getting a big chunk of change at the end of the year. This is awesome. Now, I don't know about you guys, but does anybody like nice things? You know, family trips, vacations, memories, holidays, maybe a new outfit. The challenge is, if you keep that psychology without requiring or putting in the discipline, you know what you end up with? A bunch of nice things and a shit ton of debt. So do me a favor, tell your buddy, do you know someone personally that has too much debt? Anybody inside this room? Now listen, there's smart debt and there's bad debt. And I'm not going to go too in depth with you on this, but you know the difference. You know, credit card debt at 19% is dumb debt. Buying a house and getting a mortgage with 3.5% is really good debt. So we all know the difference, and I just want you to be mindful. I want you to take care of your money. But now, did you guys get a photo of this? Did you capture it? Are you sure? Are you promising to do this? Okay, do you want to know what the wealthy agents do? This is what the wealthy agents do. It's a little more complex. It's a little more complex. I would get it up on the big screen over there, guys, and take a photo of it. But more importantly, I want you to draw the whole thing out in your notes. Draw the whole thing out in your notes. This is what the wealthy do. This is the stuff that no one taught me, saw until Bill Mitchell pulled me aside and said, what do you do with your money? And I'm like, I don't know. I just get the check and I throw it inside my account and I spend it like crazy and I never have any cash and I'm always in trouble. Draw this out. So play a game with me. You get a $10,000 check. The $10,000 check goes to what account? To what account? And 33% of it goes automatically where? To my tax account, because I don't really have 10,000. I really have 6,000 and change. That's the real deal. So 3,300 automatically here. Then I take another 3,300 over here or less, because I don't know your business expenses. But by the way, guys, your marketing cost should be no more than 10% of your expected gross revenue. Your marketing cost should be no more than 10% of your expected gross revenue. So a percentage of that 3,300 is going to go for your direct mail and your marketing and your email and your Zillow leads and your Facebook ads and the prints and the brochures and everything else. But no more than 10%. No more than 10%. Got it? Because you're incorporated now, your car and a piece of your house and all kinds of other things get written off into or from this account, so we like that. But you might also have inside there, ready guys? A virtual assistant, an assistant. Well, where is that person going to be paid from? You got a check for 10 grand. You didn't actually get 10 grand. You got 6,700. 3,300 goes inside here. Now I can pay my assistant. It starts to work like clockwork. You with me? But you can see this is where it gets interesting. Some people call this other account your investment account. I like to think of it as my financial hub. It's where the money comes in and then it gets divided again. Now, I'm not a financial planner, nor do I even attempt to be, but I'm giving you just an example of what that extra $3,400 could go towards. So maybe you need, because you do 2 deals a month, you're like, I need $4,000 a month to come into the home expenses, so I'm going to take, $2,000 of my 3,300 or the 3,400. Where does the rest go? Do you have a retirement account? Do you put money in the stock market or in bonds or whatever you believe in, 401k? Do you have an account where you just put cash to buy real estate? Why not, on every check, take 5% of every check, put it into an account called cash for real estate, and you just watch that sucker grow like crazy over time, 2 years, and also you're like, I got $185,000 in cash sitting inside that account. I should go buy a duplex. I should go buy a fourplex. I now have the money to go do these deals. Retirement account, real estate cash account. I use this because I did it with my kids, a 529B account, which is a college fund, cash account. Since we did real estate cash, why don't we call this the fun account? The fun account. I'm going to go spend this money on stupid stuff and throw it away later and not care. Or I'm going to take this money and I'm going to use it for vacations and holidays. What action are you going to take in the next 30 days around this conversation? There's no more information. That's it. Tell your buddy, what actions are you going to take in the next 30 days? Do it right now. Hey, thanks so much for watching. We have a number of events coming up, and we'd love to have you there.
Visit tomferry.com.
So I think that it moves pretty quickly, and if you're doing 2 deals a month and you're making 250,000 a year, then 2,000 a month should go toward your marketing. So if a third goes for your taxes, which is roughly 3,300, right? You have more money, and if you get farming, and farming is probably, to me, the best return on your money when you're spending it for marketing.
Farming requires a farmer and a farmer's mentality. The farmer knows you can't cram on a farm. You have to plant the seeds and take care of the seeds and that kind of stuff. And if you're looking for the quick result, the quick fix or whatever, that's not the farming mentality. That's not the farmer's way of thinking. But if you want to have long-term success in the business, then as you said before, you plan, farm, database. And in your farm, what's connecting you to that farm? You said John used to do flags or something like that in the farm.
Mm-hmm.
I think isn't there something coming up here, Veterans Day or something, where we should, 4th of July? Oh
Yes.
my God, we better order flags now, or we're not going to be ready for 4th of July.
Yeah, he did it last year. He bought enough for this year when he did that, because he bought them just about.
See, that's the farmer's mentality right there. What you just said, you buy enough for this year and next year and the year after that, because you're not a flash in the pan. That's a huge comment about the way he thinks.
Yeah. B wanted to join the group today. Say, I'm be happy. Yes. The other thing I was thinking is he was talking, back in the 90s, John and I we had farms. We had several farms. And all of a sudden, I think Macaulay Ranch was one of them. Yes. And anyway, this couple said, look, we want to sell, this is not about price. We have to move. And so we said, well, we'll buy your house. And if you give us a 6% discount and we showed them the market, what the market value was. And with that, we bought probably 10 houses in several years using, but if we weren't farming, we never would have known that, is my point.
Right.
And we bought one house where it was a little bit above our pay grade, so to speak. And we said to the seller, will you give us a bonus? And they gave us an $8,000 bonus. We bought their house and they financed it for 1 year for us. It was like the sweetest deal ever. And you get creative. And, when you meet people and you talk to people and you go on listing appointments. And I think if you're in real estate, you have to buy real estate.
If they had not known you because of your farming activities, they probably would have never made that deal with you. With the stranger, no way. With you guys, because they knew you'd been interacting with them and they trusted you. That's why they made that deal with you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. They got our materials, they got our flags. And then 1 year we even did pumpkins. That got a little expensive, but, yeah. But we tried different things and it worked though. We were always going on listing appointments. And I don't know why people don't do it.
I listened to the Simon Sinek video you recommended the other day. And did you know that video came out in 2017?
Uh-huh.
That video is 5 years old. I thought it was something new, but it's too. And that impact theory that Tom Bilyeu runs, he does a podcast. He used to call it Inside Quest. In 2017, it was called Inside Quest. And he's got some really good old videos on there from 2017. I didn't know that it was a former name. So I learned a few things about the platform and about, this stuff is not, I thought it was something new he did.
You want to share it with everybody?
Well, it's a good video. And he talks about helping others and who makes it on the seals and that kind of stuff. But he has I think he said 5 rules and he talks about the 5 rules and it's pretty basic.
Yeah.
But it's like watching that Tony Robbins thing you've been recommending the last few days. It's just inspiring. It's common sense, but it's inspirational. Everybody needs a little inspiration here and there, and that's what it provides.
Yes. And then I watched the TED Talks where the lady was talking about your physiology, your physical positions, raising your hands or putting your hands on, and for 2 minutes, and breathing and changing, your psyche. Really, it changes, everything about how you feel, and it really works. These things really work, and I love TED Talks.
State, stories, and strategy, right?
Yes, right. Your state of mind, your story, and that creates your strategy, whether it's going to win or lose. That's if you start.
And your state of mind is impacted by your physiology, and that's why they link those two together. If your physiology is right, it's easier to get your state of mind. As goes the mind, so goes the body. All that stuff. We've talked about that. Yeah.
Anyway, it's Friday, and I'm looking forward to reading this book, Jimmy. And this is amazing. Yes.
You mean this book?
I mean this book, and I would recommend it to anybody. It's called Life Force, and it's a book about it's answers to life's most important questions. The strategies in this book, reading what Jack Nicklaus said about it, have helped me go from not being able to stand for longer than 10 minutes to playing golf again without pain. This book will dramatically enhance your life. And Jack Nicklaus was the greatest golfer of all time, 120 professional tournament victories and 18 major champion titles. And Dr. Heyman says, Tony Robbins gives you access to information that's not readily available. Story after story of medical breakthroughs will inspire you and provide you with the effective solutions for greater health, wellness, and quality of life. And I told you, my gratefuls are my health, my husband, and my happiness. And health is so important. What do they say? We have 1,000 wishes when we're well. A sick person just has one. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to log off with this thought. In 4 months, Buffini is doing his thing in San Diego. August 7th is when it starts. They register Sunday night. August 8th is the actual sessions in the 9th. And if you're not putting it in your calendar to go to see Brian Buffini and be in their room with a bunch of other people, that there's no alternative. There's no substitute for being in the room with that many people that are so like-minded and so inspired and stuff like that. You walk away on cloud nine. It's not cheap. It's $600 to go, and you got to get a hotel room and then fly down there or drive down there or whatever. But if it's not in your plan, if it's not on your calendar, you're definitely not going to go. And I'm going to be there.
I put it on my calendar too. I did. Yeah. Because, exactly. And you and I are not in the quote unquote real estate sales business, right? But for all of those of you who are, take your cards, get something, get a little token made or a trinket or something that make people remember you, to give you referrals. Maybe you want to give out tokens that say, I pay 30% referral fees. We did things like that back in the day when we went to RE/MAX conventions, and those things work. They work. People keep them. And we used to get a letter opener, and one that you can slip in your card in there. And it's amazing how people kept those for years, because people still get mail, know? And back then they cost 88 cents a piece plus the cost of the cards. And people just loved them. It was a useful tool. So anyway, get referrals. And
I just went to a conference, and out of all the people there was only one person that made a little gift bag with a couple of Hershey's Kisses in it and her card and a couple other things. And I kept it. Yeah,
of course. Anyway, you all have a wonderful weekend. Jimmy will be in class on Monday. We're doing agency, and sign up at bee.vegas, 10 to 1. You can Zoom, or you can come into the live classroom and get a free lunch. And everybody asks the question, does Zoom count for live classroom? And yes, it does. So,
okay, I'll see you Monday.
Okay, bye everybody. Say goodbye, Bee. Bye. Say bye, Bee.